Okay, many folks have been asking me for the details of this. I've referenced this. My longtime fans know this. I've referenced this on several shows when it comes up here and there. So I thought for my Patreon subscribers, many of you who are soap opera fans, I'm going to give you a little something, a little tidbit of something that happened to me. Because for the most part, I get along with most soap stars, but there is one soap star I had a Twitter feud with. I'm James Lott Jr., and it's a lot to have a Twitter feud with a soap opera legend. Okay, so this is only for Patreon subscribers. Hi, you guys. This is my series I have for you. You should check out all the other episodes. I give you about, 10, 15 minutes of my life at a time. I've lived a very varied life, and so I share with only you guys here on Twitter. I mean, on Twitter. This my Twitter feud on Patreon. Oh my God, it's happening already. It's her. She's getting at me. Okay, so thank you for subscribing. So I get little stories. These are all true, and you could look them up. I'm sure back in my past. So some years ago, I would say about 5, 6 years ago. At this point, yeah, it was before my Bell's palsy. It's about 5 years ago. So I was on Twitter, and I talked to everybody. So I have a lot of Twitter friends. I was doing Edition Days, GH Report, and Afterwards TV. I was on there doing stuff. So one actress, Robin Strasser, who was Rachel in Another World, she later played horribly, I might add. I have no problem saying that. Vivian Alamain on Days of Our Lives, but she was brilliantly Dorian Lord and all the last names on One Night to Live, where she won an Emmy for it. Was brilliant on that show. I love that show. Loved her on it. Seriously, I mean, some people ascend to legendary status. It's her. Her and Vicky, her stuff, that's just amazing. The Kramer girls, I know most of the Kramer girls in real life, all of that. And so I was a huge fan of hers. So I was following her on Twitter for several years. And I remember we would talk on there. We didn't know each other personally, but we would talk here and there. She was very engaging. And I remember one time we talked about my grandmother Mitzi and some of the advice she would give, and she was like, "Your grandmother's very smart." I remember being so giddy that she would answer back because she was very vocal on Twitter and issues and stuff. But she was very playful with her audience and stuff. So I always comment on things. I've always been commentary. I make statements and things, and I made a statement about that she should be on television. At the time, she was not on anything. Like she should be on television, and just because she's older, it shouldn't make a difference. My whole thing was older actors should be on television, just like younger actors. Should be no big deal. We want to see the veterans, or whatever. I went to bed and I woke up to a barrage of tweets, and from her, and from a few other people, of course, bandwagoning and commenting on what they're all licking her ass. So of course they're going to comment on whatever she says and bang cosign, yeah, the mob mentality. But I was in shock. I'm like, why am I getting attacked? I didn't say anything bad. So I don't know if she read it wrong, or if someone read it to her wrong, or she interpreted it wrong. But suddenly I was being ageist and against her. And I wasn't. And she was starting attacking me. And of course, it's my phone going off. 1 second, kids. Let me grab my phone. Oh my God. Put it on silence. This is all being recorded, of course. Oh my goodness. Okay. I've got to have it on. And so she was saying, it's like, how dare you, and bring up age and blah blah, and just start going off on me. And I'm like, well, I responded right away. Of course, I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm saying that I think it's great that your actions of your caliber and your age should be on soaps. Like there's a whole age thing going on. And she continued to say to me things like, you're evil and mean, and I can't believe that you're saying this stuff to me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm totally on your side. And I was trying to explain in the tweets. It was my first Twitter feud. Now I probably handle things differently. I don't know if back then I was kind of still new at Twitter. And I was just like, I couldn't believe, first of all, I was interacting with Robin Strasser, but she was going off at me. And what happened was I said, why don't you come on my show and let's talk about it. Let's talk about ageism in daytime and how it's not a good thing. I wouldn't give you money to go on your shows and give you money and support you and just really start going off. And I'm like, Miss Robin, and then she went there. Now, which is true. If you don't know someone, usually a lot of times you say Miss, you would say, or Miss, you say their last name. I would say Miss Strasser. But I thought we were familiar enough, at least online. I would say Miss Robin. It's a semantics thing in the South, especially, and I do understand that. I grew up with that. You're not that familiar. You act like you know me. You call me Miss Robin. Blah blah. I'm like, oh my gosh. I go, okay, Miss Strasser. I said, I don't know what you think you read. And then other celebrities who know us both started chiming in, especially Cassie DePaiva, who played Blair, who played her niece, who was a friend of mine. She was on Days at the time, but they're friends still. And she was like, no, James loves daytime viewers. He supports them. He's like such a huge fan. I was like, he would never talk disparaging about it. I was like, thank you, Cassie. I wouldn't. I'm totally like trying. I don't know what she read, but I'm trying to get her. And then there are them, the tired trolling fans were like, just apologize, Tyrion Gaines. Why are you being to the dick? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then apologize for I didn't do anything wrong. So then this went on. She continued to come after me for several days. So I said, fuck this bitch. And I blocked her. I have other accounts and stuff, of course. So I saw that she was like, and see, he blocked me because he couldn't handle the heat. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? You are a crazy bitch. And then I hear from other people were emailing me, other actors, I won't say their name, I won't out them and stuff. I say, oh yeah, she's bonkers. She's just bonkers, blah, blah. And so allegedly, I should say allegedly bonkers. And she just goes after people. And I was like, I don't understand what just happened. I literally had a Twitter feud with a soap opera actress that I admired so much, and I'm just like, what is going on? And I don't know what's going on. And I was completely just like I was in shock. I was just literally in shock. I just didn't know what I just was in shock. And so to that point on, she lost my my support. I will never support her unless she apologizes to me. She don't give a shit about me. I'm sure her life has moved on. Our lives have moved on. But when people ask me who's been nice to me, who hasn't, I mentioned, I go, Robin Strasser was mean to me. And I think she was in the wrong. And I just didn't just apologize. Just kind of, I read that wrong, or I don't know what was going on. Or even if she thought I meant that, then she would have came on my show and she would have seen that I didn't think that way. I'm like, no, I don't think that way at all. I mean, she would have seen that I'm completely on her side. So it just goes to show that yes, I'm all for what was I going to say? I'm all for supporting our soap opera stars, of course, and everything, but they're not all nice. Things do happen. I've had other encounters too, which I might tell about on the show with other sub-stars. But I do, at the same time, I can also separate, compartmentalize, and say, okay, but they're still in the industry. Robin Strasser, though she's still a daytime legend. I mean, I still recognize that fully. But I wouldn't even pay her to be on my shows at this point. That's when she could just kiss my grits on that. And I don't care if she hears that. I don't, doesn't matter. Somebody tells her, I don't care. I think she was rude and insensitive and was wrong because I wasn't saying anything bad. And if she misread, or if I had said a word that could be misleading, we could have talked about it instead of attacking me. We could have just talked about it. And again, we saw my record. I always say, screw what I'm saying. Look at my record. I've interviewed almost every daytime diva there is out there. It's about over the last 7-8 years now. That I do show reverence for them. I show respect for them. I love this. I love the soap opera. I wouldn't be doing all this soap opera shit if I didn't love the medium. I don't do things. Yeah, we have our shady side and stuff, but I don't do things. When it comes to the actors, I respect the hard work they do and the people behind the scenes, and I'm always trying to lift them up and spotlight them. So that's why I feel about that. But anyway, so those of you who are just like, you keep mentioning this Robert Strasser, every once in a while you mention this Robert Strasser thing. I said, longtime fans who were there and saw it happening, no. I believe it was on my old account that got hacked. So I had an account that I had over almost 10,000 supporters on their followers on there, and then I got hacked. Someone posted porn on my page, which happens. And Twitter was horrible. Twitter support was just completely horrible, and I had to delete the account and get a whole new account, which I'm rebuilding to this day. So I believe that whole exchange is from that account, and I don't even know if it's could be out there somewhere. Who knows? But it's just a lesson. I don't really Twitter feud anybody anymore. There are folks who say things to me, and I just kind of whatever. Because I know that I do appeal in television, so I'll say certain things. There are people I don't care for their acting, and I've mentioned it a couple of times. On not very often, but I did a couple of times. A couple people. We never got into it personally ourselves, so I don't know if they know or not. They may, and it's been just whatever. So anyway, so I haven't had any Twitter feuds really since then. I have people who just don't agree with me. But I'm like, there are a lot of folks who won't tweet at me, and I always find out, in the soap work especially, it's a small world. I always find them talking shit about me somewhere else. They won't mention my name, but they'll go all the way, or they'll mention my name, but they won't tag me and all this stuff. And I recently, again, I found someone co-opted one of my interviews and didn't tag me in it, but he gave me credit, so I give him credit for that. They didn't tag me in it or anything, so I made sure to let them know, thank you very much, I really appreciate it. I'm like, folks, I'm like, give everybody the credit where credit is due, and all that. That's a whole nother show. I'm James Lott Jr. This is It's a Lot, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks, Patreon members.